In reaction 3, we're going to be mixing solid sodium hydroxide with 0.5 molar hydrochloric acid. So if you need to, first clear your workbench so you have a clean surface to work on, and then let's get some supplies. We're going to need to go to glassware and go to graduated cylinders. I'm going to need a 50 milliliter graduated cylinder. Next, I'm going to need some 0.5 molar HCl, so I'm going to go to solutions, down to strong acids, and I'm going to choose the 0.5 molar HCl. Now you're going to need 50 milliliters of this HCl. I'm going to get my results to be slightly different than yours, and I'm going to choose 45.0 milliliters. So I'll add that to the graduated cylinder, and then best practice is just to rename this or label your glassware 0.5 HCl. That way I know what I'm dealing with and what I have in stock. For this lab, we need that solid sodium hydroxide. So back to the storeroom we go. If we go down to solids, we're going to need some of this NaOH. And to weigh anything, we're going to need a scale. So back to tools, over to the scale, clicking on that, we'll need that. And anytime we're weighing anything, we need to use a weigh boat. So back to glassware, choose other, and choose that weigh boat. We'll place that then on the scale, and it's important then to tare the scale so that we're measuring just the chemical that we need, and then we're going to add our solid sodium hydroxide. Now, I'm going to add, for my purposes, 1.50 grams. You need to add 1.00 grams. So we've got that transferred, and I can see that right here on the scale. This is an easy process in a virtual lab. In a real lab, this is much more tedious, but now we've got the weight of solid sodium hydroxide that I need. I'm going to disconnect that so that we can work with it. We're going to need a calorimeter, and our lab is going to use a styrofoam cup, and we're going to use that, and I'm going to rename it again so that I'm proving that I've actually done the lab, and I'm going to call this my first name, reaction 3, and choose rename. So there we go. We've got this. We see this is at 25 degrees. We see that the hydrochloric acid is at 25 degrees, and you can see that in more detailed view right here. I'm then going to add this hydrochloric acid to my calorimeter or my styrofoam cup. In my case, I'm adding 45.0 milliliters. So we'll pour that in there. In your case, you're going to add 50 milliliters of the HCl. We've got that, and then we just have to add our solid sodium hydroxide. So here it is in the weigh boat. I can see what I've got right here. I'm going to take this and drag it over top of my calorimeter, and I'm going to pay specific attention to the change in temperature. So here we go. We're going to add this to here. In my case, I've got the 1.50 grams of the solid sodium hydroxide. You have the 1 gram. I'm going to pour that in there, and then I'm going to record this temperature change. So that's what we need to do for reaction number 3. And it's very important to take a screenshot of this to prove that you've done this lab, and you're just going to place that in the appendix at the very end of your lab report.